tell you this. Let me state on record.
Yes.
That we, all the way back in about the year 2000, were the ones that initiated what you saw as the Chinese money coming into Africa. I had some very good friends in China, and I visited China, and they were interested in expanding into Africa. Now, before that time, the British, for example, used to give us a loan, and they would tell us, for that loan, to build a road, we can only afford to spend so much amount of money for 40 kilometers. It must be our British company.
Yes.
All right?
Yes.
Okay? And their prices were very high.
Yes.
And they would say, that's all we are doing. And the minister of Britain would come here with the president at the time, Moi, and they would flag off this road like it was a very big affair. They have done wonders for Africa, 40 kilometers. It was a big thing. It would be in the front pages of your newspapers.
Mm-hmm.
Then I brought the Chinese. And the first thing I said is that if you look around, it is those British companies, so-called European tide aid projects, that had no value for money. Or you had Kenyan cowboy contractors, right, who had been built over the years that were doing shoddy jobs. It was just a money-making scheme. Many of them, you'd see a road on a map, but when you go there, there's no road. But people have been paid. So we brought in the Chinese with soft money. They came in with 22-year money, 10 years grace, right, and lots of it. And they said, we are prepared to come here and do what is called a win-win formula. Because if Kenyans come up, right, they'll still buy things from us. So if we lift Kenyans up and they build houses, they'll buy electrical elements, for example, from us. So our interest is win-win, okay? And I love the model. Their money was soft, but on top of that, for every 100 shillings, for example, a kilometer, they would charge, the British would charge for a road. These guys were coming in at 30 shillings. 30 shillings. And then for every 2 years, lead time, let's say the British tell you 2 years for a road, these guys would do it in 8 months. They would work 24 hours. So you got better value of your money. We were stretching our shilling, right? Mm-hmm. Even in the long term. So we brought them, the first project they did was this one of Uhuru Highway. All the way from the airport, Uhuru Highway to Gigiri. And that was a donation from the Chinese government to President Mwai Kibaki. $150 million. All right?
Donation.
Donation. It was a grant. Just so that people can see what the Chinese contractors do. Right? And everyone was very shocked. Because where previously roads were this thick, the Chinese were doing 6 feet. Core. What is under this highway? Core. 6 feet. Some 8 feet. So it lasts for 10 years. Before that, people were experimenting on concrete roads. And so they did that, and everybody said, these fellows are wonderful. So then we looked at the next project, which is the most densely populated road, and it was Thika Road, more than Mombasa Road.
Yes.
Okay? So the president said, that is the one I want. So it was packaged, right? It cost 32 billion at the time. But I can tell you, you can see what it did. It changed people's lives.
Did you have that plan in mind?
Yes.
How it's going to change people's lives?
Oh yes. You see, roads are a stimulus. During and after. I'll tell you why. During, you're buying a lot of local material. You're buying sand, kogoto, sijui, tar, all these things, right? And you're using local labor, heavy labor. A lot of people work on roads. You're also buying local steam, right? So you stimulate during. And as you stimulate, that money, right, is spent even by the workers. They go and buy more unga, they go and buy other things. It comes back into the economy in VAT, and so on, higher. After, you have closed markets. So before, if it took you to take your goods a whole day to go from one place to another, or let's say even 5-6 hours, now it took you 1 hour. You could do 2 trips in a day for your product, right? You can sell more. So you stimulate with roads during and after. Unlike railway. Railway is only a stimulus if you're carrying cargo for export. Otherwise, it is not a stimulus.
Which begs the question, railway, I also mentioned to you that my friend and I were debating, instead of the SGR, why not an expressway like this one from Nairobi to Mombasa?
Exactly. And that was my big argument with President Kenyatta, with President Uhuru. I'm the one who came up with the idea for SGR. And my big issue was my model is private. I have a simple private model. We started in 2008 with the same company, Chinese company called China Road and Bridge. We want to build this road with this railway from Mombasa to Nairobi and to Malaba, all the way to the border of Uganda, for 55 billion shillings. We did a whole study, private. It did not want any revenue, tax revenue. Mwananchi should not be taxed for this project. All I wanted was an agreement with Kenya Railways for the waylift, for the land. Then it was being run by a company called RVR, and it was a failure. Then we decided to make a government project. When they made it a government project, it shot up from 55 to 400 billion. Just from halfway. What was 1,000 kilometers at first became 500 kilometers, 400 billion. Mombasa to Nairobi. I said, this thing is a total failure. Why don't we do this, what you're suggesting, Daktari? Why don't we do the road? From Mombasa all the way to Malaba, we do like we did Thika Road. We changed the economy of Mswahili, because I can tell you Thika Road changed the economy of all the people who live in Mount Kenya that way. Land value, let me tell you, Daktari, before Thika Road was 500,000 maximum per acre. By the time it was built, 12 million. Munashika hiyo hesabu? Per acre.
It made more millionaires.
Munashika hiyo hesabu? Those heroes you know. I can tell you today, it is very hard to get an acre for less than 40 million shillings.
Are you also saying?
Shika hiyo, if you have your 2 acres, you have 80 million. Before it was worth 1 million. So I was saying with Mombasa Road, we'll do the same thing. And you change the economy in Mswahili, Mtaita, Mkamba, Nairobi here, Masai.
Okay.
Okay, everybody, all the way mpaka Kisii and Luos at the border.
Okay.
Right?
Sawa.
Okay.
So you're saying the amount of money that was used to make the SGR would have been enough to bring a super highway from Mombasa to Malaba?
In fact, half. We had done the costing. SGR cost $3.8 billion. $3.8 billion, Mombasa to Nairobi.
Okay.
Right?
Yes.
Then they added another 2 from Syokimau to a place called Dukamoja, the railway to nowhere.
Yes.
Okay? Dukamoja. Aya. So you can see the cost. Now, ours, if we did the highway, expressway, 8 lanes, with lights, a 24-hour corridor.
Yes.
Right? With solar lights. Okay, computerized. Would have cost us at the time $2.2 billion.
We will get depressed over that. But kitu ingine tena, in our own
all
time.
the way to Malaba, eh? So I want you to understand that now you would be saying, I want to go to Kisii. Kisii from here takes you almost a day. 8 hours. 7 to 8 hours. It would literally take you less than half that time to get there.
So,
Naivasha here would be 30 minutes away. So people would even ask themselves, why do I live in areas where I have so much traffic in Nairobi?
yes.
Let me go to Naivasha, right? And I wake up every day to see Longodon. Wouldn't you want that? You're living in Naivasha, nice property that costs the same as a little property you're getting here. Even rent-wise, it will be cheaper. 30 minutes away, and you're waking up to fresh air,
Okay.
looking at Longonot. You have little antelopes running around you. See, you dunia. You enjoy your own country. Kwani ni ya wazungu? It's not ya wazungu. It's our country.